Fluid connective tissues include blood and lymph. This is a category that is probably quite surprising, but when you consider all of the characteristics of connective tissues, then it is understandable how these two tissues fit in this category. The specialized cells in blood include red blood cells, white blood cells, and then it is surrounded by a matrix of plasma. In this case, the proteins are dissolved in the fluid matrix. The blood is confined to vessels. It never leaves them. Lymph, on the other hand, is interstitial fluid with large molecules, cellular debris, and lymphocytes. In the lymph, immune cells monitor for injury and infection and respond accordingly. Lymph also maintains balances because the lymph is channeled into the blood, reducing the local tissue differences. Basically, it is returning all of those substances that are too large to cross a capillary membrane and channels them back to the blood. Let's look now at supporting connective tissues. These form a strong framework that supports the body and provides movement in conjunction with muscle. Remember, muscle is not a connective tissue. The supporting connective tissues have a wide range of vascularity. The first tissue to look at is hyaline cartilage. Hyaline is avascular. There is no blood supply. Consequently, any injury to any of the cartilages is going to take a very long time to heal. Hyaline is the most common of the cartilages. They are found on the ends of bone, in the nose. Usually it is very smooth, glossy, and white. It has a firm matrix. The matrix is collagenous, although notice here you cannot see the collagen. You can also see the spaces of the lacunae where the chondrocytes reside within the matrix. Our second type of cartilage is an elastic cartilage. This tends to be very flexible, and our dominant fiber this time is the elastic fiber. One of the locations where you will find an elastic cartilage is the auricle of the ear. Again, you see chondrocytes within the lacunae. The third type is fibrocartilage. This is found in the meniscus of the knee and in the intervertebral discs in the spine. It is made up of a firm matrix with interwoven collagenous fibers. There is very little ground substance in this matrix. The most rigid of the connective tissues is bone, also called osseous tissue. Now, in comparison with the cartilage, which is avascular, bone is very vascular. There is very little ground substance again, but this time the matrix is solid and it is very heavily consisting of calcium salts around collagen fibers. If you were to take a chicken bone and soak it in vinegar for about 24 hours, you would have a very flexible bone, still in the same shape as the bone, but all the calcium's gone off of it. What you have left is the collagen fibers. These black cells or black objects that you see here are osteocytes, bone cells. They reside in lacunae, just like we saw in the chondrocytes. The osteocytes communicate with each other through tiny little canals that are called canaliculi. The osteon is a circular structure of bone. There are usually many of them in compact bone. And in the center of the osteon we find a central canal, which is where the blood vessels and nerves pass through. Lastly, we're going to look at the membranes. These consist of epithelial tissue plus connective tissue. Included in the group are the mucous membranes here at the top. These are typically open to the exterior, and it is mucus that keeps them moist. You find these lining digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive tracts. Second type of membrane is a serous membrane. We have it right here. These are sealed internal cavities like the pleural cavity. They produce a serous fluid that lubricates and reduces friction for that organ. The cutaneous membrane is what we know as the skin. Consists of stratified squamous epithelium on the outside, and this membrane is usually dry. Compare that with the other three, which are usually wet. Lastly, we have a synovial membrane. The synovial membrane does not fit our description of membrane as well because it is only connective tissue. It contains the synovial fluid in joints, which cushions and lubricates the joint.